If you know anything about the Kennewick Man, congratulations. I recently found out that very few students actually had ever heard of him. So I sat down with the Burke's Professor Lape to try to achieve some enlightenment.
I'm the curator of archaeology at the Burke Museum, so I basically am in charge of the archaeological collections in our museum, about a couple million artifacts, and I'm also associate director for research.
Professor Lape has worked as a supervisor of the Kennewick Man for years, and his knowledge of the issue as an impartial observer is extensive.
So he's also given the name the Ancient One by the tribes who are interested in reclaiming his bones. So this was a human skeleton that was found on the Columbia River in Lake Roosevelt. So it's a lake, the part of the dam part of the river around the town of Kennewick. The land on which the bones were found was controlled by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. So they became the agency sort of in charge of the bones. They made the decisions about what to do. And their decision based on the date was to repatriate those bones to tribes in that area. So the Umatilla tribe was the one that had the strongest claim to that piece of land where the bones were found.
The skeleton has been the issue of much debate and a lawsuit lasting 8 years, after which the Burke became the court-appointed security repository for the remains.
Once the court case was decided in 2004 in favor of the 9 plaintiff scientists, they came to the Burke on 3 occasions, one of which for 10 days, where they did their own set of studies. They did additional radiocarbon dating, additional DNA sampling, kind of did a lot of the same studies that the government scientists did in the early days of the case. But since that decision in 2004, the Umatilla and several other of the 5 tribes who were involved in the case have come to the Burke regularly with permission from the U.S. Corps of Engineers to conduct ceremonies with the Kennewick remains.
The fight has been drawn out to a point now where even the significance of the research is being called into question.
In science, you like to have as large a sample size as you can to basically bolster any claims you make about what you find out from that thing. And in this case, we have a sample size of 1. So the conclusions we can draw from this one set of remains are limited. I mean, they'll tell us something interesting about this particular person, but it's difficult to extrapolate that.
However, it cannot be denied that this is an incredibly important find, not just scientifically, but as a paramount discussion affecting the future of archaeological finds in the U.S. forever.
Well, I think what's fascinating about Kennewick Man is that it's one skeleton that kind of embodies so many different debates about ancestry, claim over knowledge, the way science is practiced, American archaeology, the history of relationships between Native Americans and museums and archaeology. It all is focused on this one skeleton. So those debates are real, and the controversies are real.